This video is going to show the process of how to complete the follow-up surveys for participants of the STEP Learning Collaborative. So every 3 months, the surveys will be automatically emailed to a designated person depending on the LMHA. So the first thing that you will receive is an email alerting you that a survey is ready to be complete. That email is going to look like this. It's a REDCap secure message. REDCap is the platform, the database we use for collecting the surveys. You're going to go ahead and click on read message. That message is going to pop up with this note. Because this might only pop up the first time you're filling out the survey, um, just to ensure that the correct person is receiving the survey. So you will then receive another email that has a secure messaging code. Again, to make sure that you are the correct person receiving that survey. So we are going to go ahead and copy that, go back into that first message, and paste in that code. The next thing you'll see is this message come up. This message is instructions that you will receive that are connected to the follow-up surveys. So you're going to click the link to go to the survey, and you won't know who the survey is for until you click into it. So this is a survey reminder for Nina Levine. I am the participant of the STEP Learning Collaborative. It gives those same instructions, so about how long it should take you, and to try your best to finish it in one sitting. Because these surveys were going to participants initially, the U is referring to the participant, not the clinician. So I'm going to show you two ways in which these will be filled out. So we'll say the survey is being filled out right now. It'll automatically put the date and time and who is filling out the survey. So we'll say STEP Learning Collaborative Clinician. We will go ahead and go to the next page. The first thing you'll see is this participant enrollment status. So asking if Nina Levine, the STEP Learning Collaborative participant, is still in care at the agency. So if you click yes, you will just be prompted to go to the next page. Now, if you click no, it's going to ask for the date of discharge and the disposition plan. So let's say the person was transferred to an outpatient provider out of state. It's going to pop up with this question of asking more information. Now, let's say we click completed treatment. There's no further questions, so you would just go ahead and go to next page, and it would actually end the survey for you there. For the purposes of this survey, we are going to go ahead and say that the person is still in care. Those questions will go ahead and disappear. The next section is demographic information related to the participant. So what town do they live in? We'll say Bethany. I don't know the zip code in Bethany. We'll put the zip code. Ask for their insurance, their living status, and if they are on if they are receiving SSI or SSDI. So we'll say no, and then it'll ask if they've applied. We will go ahead and say no. You'll see for all of these there's an unknown or prefer not to say option. So if you don't know, then that would be the option that you would choose. It'll go back next into the education and employment section, asking if the person is currently enrolled in school. So some of these questions will have follow-up questions. So let's say for the purposes of this survey, we're going to say enrolled full-time. It's going to ask what type of program they're then enrolled in. If I said not enrolled, that question wouldn't appear. So we'll say enrolled full-time in a four-year college. And do they have a goal related to school at this time? We'll say yes. Then it'll ask employment related questions. Have they had a job in the last 3 months? We'll say no. And then it will ask the category that best describes their current employment status. So we will say full-time student has not looked for work in the past 4 weeks. And we will also indicate we're not sure if they have a goal related to employment at this time. We'll go to the next page where it asks about suicidality. So here we'll go ahead and say no for any thoughts of ending their life. Have they done anything, started to do anything, or prepared to do anything to end their life? We'll say no. And have they done anything to hurt or harm themselves without the intent to end their life? We will say no. The next section we'll go into is legal involvement. It'll ask questions related to legal involvement, if they've spent time in jail, court ordered treatment. We're not sure. We'll indicate unknown or prefer not to say. Thoughts about harming or killing somebody else, tried to do so, or been harmed or attacked themselves. The next section we're going to go into is their treatment status. Since you are the clinician receiving the treatment, you'll simply indicate where you are a clinician. So I will go ahead and indicate step clinic. Okay, so in this section, you'll see that there is a note here at the top that says previous weight and date. So because it has not yet been filled out, this is the first survey being received for this individual, that is blank. So the next time you'll go and fill it out, it is going to go ahead and display the previous weight you put in there and the date that you indicated. So let's say 160 pounds for this person, and their weight was last measured on January 6, 2026. So when you receive the next survey for this individual, that information is going to pop up here. We'll go ahead and go to the next page, asking about hospitalizations. The hospitalizations are separated between a mental health reason, an emergency room for mental health reason, a hospitalization for a medical condition, or an emergency room for a medical condition. So let's say yes here. It'll ask how many times they went to the emergency room. We will say once, and then we'll say no here. Some of these questions we'll go ahead and ask folks for specific dates. If possible, then you would put in the specific date. But here we will put no. No, the last section here, we're on page 10 of 10, will ask about the individual substance use, asking questions specifically around traditional tobacco, e-cigarettes, or vapes. If we then answer a question yes, it'll prompt us to indicate the frequency. For marijuana and opioids, it'll ask both the frequency and whether they've been prescribed by a doctor. And we'll click through, and there's a section here at the end. Have you used other substances? It will ask them or ask you what substances have been used and the frequency. The last question here is whether the individual has spent a night in the hospital or detox facility specifically for substance use. Last thing you're going to do is go ahead and submit. If you have any questions, of course, you can email us at that same email address in which the email will come from, that first email indicating that there's someone due for a follow-up survey. And then this return code is whether you need to go in and change it. If you do not write down the return code and you need to go in and change something that you realized was not accurate on the survey, you can always go ahead and email us. But that's the process for filling out the participant follow-up surveys. Now that we're into the survey, this video is going to show how you can reopen the survey using a return code after you have already once opened the survey, which is why it says, please try to finish the survey in one sitting. So I'll I'll explain how that process works. So again, this is a survey reminder. The participant of the Learning Collaborative's name is going to pop up right there. So let's say we click now is the time and I'm a clinician. We'll continue on. Now Let's say you need to go and check whether the participant is still enrolled in care. We would click Save and Return from later. Now, what you'll need to do is you will need to copy this return code. So I'm going to go ahead and copy it. And you will need this return code to get back into the survey. Now, you can also click Continue Survey Now, but the return code is not emailed to you. So it is important that you write down this code so that you can pick up wherever you left off in the survey. So let's say I know the answer to that first question. Yes, they're still enrolled in care. We'll proceed. And I don't know where they currently live, but I want to save where I'm at. So I would get this return code, I'll copy it. Maybe I need to check with the clinician if this is going to the point person. And if I did go back to the survey, it would bring me back to the last saved page, which was the enrollment status. And then we go into the demographics and we continue to fill out the survey from there. So that is how you utilize the return code. So again, very important to copy it down because it will not be emailed to you. And that is the only way to get back into the survey where you left off without having to restart the survey.